Jiří Procházka has become one of the most memorable names in the UFC. His outstanding finish rate of 97% guarantees an entertaining fight, with either fighter getting finished in a dramatic way. For example, just over a week ago, we saw Carlos Alberg become the second man to ever beat Jiri in the UFC octagon, claiming the undisputed light heavyweight championship. Although, the way Jiri lost left everyone with a bad taste in their mouth.
The worst way possible!
But first, let's go back to 2012 when Jiří Procházka first began his MMA journey. Representing Czechia, Jiří Procházka stormed into the MMA scene, putting an impressive record together of 14-2-1 from April of 2012 to November of 2015. His fights were spread across multiple different promotions, but the majority of them to start his career were in gladiator championship fighting. Of his wins, Jiri had 14 finishes, 100% finishing perfection. His 2 losses were also by finish, being TKO'd by Bojan Velikovic and submitted by Abdul Karim Edilov. Hey, 100% at getting finished as well. At least he's consistent. With this insanely impressive start to his MMA career, he was signed to fight in Japanese fighting promotion Rizin, where he would compete in their 100 kg World Grand Prix tournament in December of 2015. His first fight in the tournament would be against Olympic judo champion Satoshi Ishii. Jiri opened as quite a large underdog, sitting at plus 375 going into the fight. But odds do not matter when you brutally knock out your opponents like Jiri does, and continued to do in this fight as he stopped Ishii via knees in round 1. 2 days later, he would face future and the current Bellator/PFL light heavyweight champion, Vadim Nemkov, who he once again finished, this time via retirement, at the end of round 2. In the same night, he would fight in the tournament final against Muhammad Lawal, who in himself had an impressive MMA career at the time, riding a 5-fight win streak and an 18-4 record, despite falling off a cliff after this fight, going 2-6 to end his MMA career. Anyway, that's enough Lawal yap. He KO'd Jiri, continuing Jiri's 100% loss finish rate as well. In a quick 3.5-month turnaround, Jiri was right back in the Rizin ring, where he began his dominant run to the title, winning 10 fights in a row, 9 of them being by TKO. Of these wins, he avenged his loss to Muhammad Lawal to become the Rizin light heavyweight champ and secured a title defense against ex-UFC standout and the Ultimate Fighter finalist CB Dollaway. At this point, and to the surprise of no one with his utter dominance during his rise to the championship in Rizin, the UFC had taken notice of his exciting style and finishing power, signing him to an exclusive contract at the beginning of 2020. After a small delay but regardless, he was booked in the UFC Apex against former title challenger Volkan Oezdemir, who was riding a 2-fight win streak. And in Jiri fashion, he put Oezdemir out cold with a beautiful left hook along the cage, winning himself his UFC debut, and 50 G's, baby, for the performance of the night bonus. By the way, these bonuses become a common trend as we go along Jiří Procházka's career, so be prepared for me to say 50 G's, baby, a lot more times. Procházka would then be matched against another former title challenger, this time against Dominic Reyes. Although Reyes did not hold the belt, we all know he beat John Jones that night, and if you disagree, you simply do not understand MMA. But anyway, the only other loss on his record was in his last fight versus Jan Blachowicz, who unfortunately brutally knocked out Reyes in round 2. But what I'm saying is this was still a very dangerous Dominic Reyes at the top of his game, and the odds predicted a near even fight going into it. And the result did not come without a wee bit of controversy, as we hear Dom's corner screaming that Jiri is out cold. But nonetheless, the ref didn't stop the fight, and Jiri survived, where we saw yet another devastating Jiří Procházka finish, face planting Dominic Reyes into the UFC canvas with a spinning back elbow along the cage. Yeah, Jiri won double bonuses that night, bagging himself $100K for Fight of the Night and Performance of the Night bonuses. And bang, just like that, after 2 second-round finishes in the UFC, Jiří Procházka had climbed to the top of the light heavyweight division to challenge the champion and legend of the game, Glover Teixeira. At this point, Jiri had stapled himself as a fan favorite fighter with his flashy finishing style and unique personality. But fans were still divided as we just saw Glover break through at the age of 42, winning his first UFC title. And oh my god, this fight did not disappoint. In easily one of the best fights of all time, we saw a back and forth war on the feet, with both guys piecing each other up in moments, with also insane back and forth scrambles, ground and pound, and submission threats. The fight was insanely close, and going into the 5th round, 2 judges had Glover up in points. That meant Jiří Procházka needed a finish as the round clock ticked closer and closer to a Glover Teixeira title defense. When almost all hope was lost for Jiri's title dreams, and with less than a minute to go, Glover slipped off of Jiri, ended up on bottom position, and against all odds was submitted by Jiří Procházka with 28 seconds left in the fight. Jiri had broken through and reached UFC championship status with only 3 fights in the promotion, with another 50 G's baby for Fight of the Night. Unfortunately, it was short-lived. Jiri suffered a significant shoulder injury in November of 2022, and like the true champion he was, vacated the title to allow the division to continue while he recovered. But somehow, even with Jiri vacating, the light heavyweight division spiraled into absolute shambles. Let's quickly break this down. Okay, so Magomed Ankalaev was booked to fight Jan Blachowicz for the vacant title in December 2022. This fight was scored a majority draw, keeping the light heavyweight belt vacant. Dana immediately announced in an absolute rage in the post-fight press conference that Jamal Hill would fight Glover Teixeira in January of 2023, just a month after this fight. Jamal Hill beat Glover via 5-round dominant decision, by the way, in Glover's retirement fight, and oh my god, I was genuinely scared Glover was going to die in the octagon for a minute. But get this, Jamal Hill, as the champion, tears his Achilles in July of 2023. And he also vacates the belt, leaving the division championless once again. Thankfully, our Lord and Savior, Alex Poatan Pereira, had moved up to light heavyweight, beat Jan Blachowicz via split decision, and earned himself a chance to fight for the vacant title. Against who, you may ask? Guess who's back? Back again. Our boy Jiří Procházka is healed and ready to take on Alex in one of the biggest light heavyweight matchups we could possibly ask for. Jiří Procházka versus Alex Pereira is booked, and oh my god, November 2023 could not come fast enough. But I can't lie, I was nervous as hell for Jiri going into this fight due to his reckless and honestly sometimes completely defensiveless fighting style matched up against the hardest hitting fighter we have ever seen in the UFC. But at the same time, it was also easy to overlook his lack of fundamentals and bet on his unconventional style and insane finishing potential. These are 2 fighters that no one wants to see lose, let alone finished. And bang, Alex Pereira brutally KO'd Jiri in the 2nd round with his patented left hook, securing himself double champ status in the UFC and becoming light heavyweight champ for the first time in his career. Jiří Procházka, being the complete psychopath that he is, got right back in there against number 4 ranked light heavyweight Alexander Rakic just 5 months after this KO loss. Oh, and just to remind you guys, Jiri is still riding an 100% finish rate since 2014, and that finish streak did not end in this fight, as Jiri walked right through Rakic's chopping leg kicks, as we heard Joe Rogan scream from outside the octagon, "Oh, that leg is beat up, dude," and finished Rakic in round 2 via TKO. Oh, and yeah, another 50 G's, baby, for Performance of the Night, earning himself a rematch against, yeah, you know who. And in Jiri fashion, yet another finish in this fight. Unfortunately, Jiri got brutally KO'd, even worse than the first fight against Pereira. And now Jiri was left 0-2 against the current champ, and like a few other title challengers we have seen in the past, definitely needed at least a couple of wins to get the chance again. And he did exactly that, beating former champion Jamal Hill in the third round via ground and pound, and in an absolute insane comeback win, being down 20-18 and needing a finish in round 3 against Khalil Roundtree, found the KO to not only keep his finishing streak alive, but maybe even secure himself another chance at the title. Oh, and yeah, he got 50 G's, baby, for performance of the night against Jamal Hill, and 100 G's, doubling up on fight of the night and performance of the night bonuses against Khalil Roundtree. And that brought us to April 11th, 2026. Alex Pereira is moving up with a chance to become UFC's first ever 3-weight division champion, and the light heavyweight title is vacant once again. Jiří Procházka versus Carlos Ulberg is booked for the light heavyweight championship, and it was looking all but guaranteed that Jiri would become champion for the second time, as Ulberg had seemingly suffered a significant knee injury and was having extreme difficulty moving around in the octagon. Jiri began beating up the injured knee of Ulberg, but for some reason was clearly losing focus, pointing to the ground, appearing to want to trade with Ulberg. It was so confusing to watch, as all he needed to do was coast to the second round and the fight would likely be stopped with the knee injury of Ulberg sustained. But nope, fucking Jiri could not keep calm and defensive and completely exposed himself to a huge counter check left hook from Carlos Ulberg that dropped him badly and allowed Ulberg to finish the fight via ground and pound. And now what? Jiri is 1-3 in title fights and will need to beat some very dangerous rising contenders to have any chance to be in the title picture again. And Ulberg, likely out 9 to 12 months with an ACL tear, leaving the light heavyweight division in absolute shambles once again. But hey, on the bright side, Jiří Procházka continued his finishing streak even though it was a loss, and is still an absolute fan favorite in the UFC. I will be tuning into every Jiří Procházka fight from here until the end of time. He guarantees action, he guarantees finishes, he guarantees exciting, insane fights, and it would be an absolute shame to ever miss one of his fights in the octagon. Even if you absolutely broke our hearts with how dumb you were against Ulberg, we will never stop cheering for the absolute madman samurai from Czechia, Jiří BJP Procházka. Oh, and just quickly, BJP literally stands for Bommy Jack Pika, which roughly translates to bombs as fuck or bombs like a bitch. Just Jiri thinks.